Hey everyone, Mitch coming in from the Commander's Core studio. Welcome to the show. So on today's episode, we talk about, well, Wizards' reasoning for not unbanning certain cards because they did put that out in addition to the reasoning for the cards that they did unban. If you haven't seen that episode, make sure you check that one out. Yes, some major news happening right now. We also jump into some additions to the Game Changers list as well. Here we go. So again, in addition to the cards that were unbanned, we got explanations as to why, well, the cards that are on the ban list were not unbanned, that didn't get unbanned yesterday. There were 5 in total. Make sure you check that episode out. That being said, let's jump right into it. Appendix, ban list review. Cool. First, the list of cards that that don't need a lot of additional explanation, either because they are classically powerful, don't make sense for Commander. Ancestral Recall, Black Lotus, Chaos Orb, Channel, Falling Star, Caracas, Library of Alexandria, the Moxes. Anyone? No, okay. Charizard, Time Vault, and Time Walk. I mean, I guess the only thing I would argue in here is the Moxes, if they are talking about ever unbanning, again, Mana Crypt, you need to kind of talk about unbanning the Moxes, but they're never going to do that, and they wouldn't do it. Soul Ring discussion later. Okay, anyways, I don't think that the Moxes should be legal, but again, I don't like when they're like, you know what, well, Mana Crypt's fine, but the Moxes aren't. It's like, okay, well, it's the same thing. We just don't want more of them. Okay, that doesn't make any sense. You need to have this consistency in your rules, okay? Here we go. Moving on to cards that could use some amount of explanation in a gauge for whether they will return. Balance. Okay, so Balance says the card massively strips resources out of the game, providing mass land denial, hand disruption, and a board sweep all in one. Balance is especially brutal in decks that are all about mana rocks, which are already strong. I think this is unlikely to return. I mean, here's the thing with any of these kind of like stacksy pieces or just like mass land destruction cards. If it would be okay at the highest pinnacle of Commander, again, whatever that is, where they say basically there's no, land resource denial essentially. So I guess 4 or 5. Technically, in my mind, it's kind of all at 5 though, with like, any kind of no holds barred essentially. I would argue that it's, more so just CEDH play. And typically you don't see any kind of mass land destruction or any kind of resource denial, any kind of stacks like this really in your more casual Commander games, which they kind of, fudge the line, on the 4 being like kind of both, but yeah, okay. Regardless, I don't think anyone's unhappy that Balance didn't get unbanned. I don't think anyone was like really clamoring for it to get unbanned. I don't think it's ever going to get unbanned either. And again, yeah, that's unlikely to return. Yeah, even at like the highest power levels, this is absurdly pushed because, hey, just 2 mana to do all this. And of course you can just, lock someone out basically. I mean, not lock someone out, but I guess if you keep recurring it, you definitely could. No one's calling for this to be unbanned, and it's never going to be most likely. So, yeah, Balance, unbalanced card, stay banned. Okay, next up, Biorhythm. Sorcery for 8 mana in total in green. Each player's life total becomes the number of creatures they control. This was kind of an interesting one because, spoiler alert, if you haven't seen yesterday's episode, make sure you check it out. But yeah, Coalition Victory was unbanned. And that was kind of like if one's going to be unbanned, maybe they both get unbanned, maybe neither get unbanned. The way that they did it, I guess, makes more sense that Coalition Victory is unbanned than Biorhythm, because if it was reversed, that wouldn't make any sense, I guess, at all. Technically, this one doesn't just, win you the game. Technically, it definitely can, versus Coalition Victory can just outright win you the game. In fact, that's kind of what, if it resolves, it does. We discussed this card a great deal. We ultimately decided not to unban it. It can go in any green deck. That's probably the actual, main thing right there, is that Coalition Victory is literally only for 5-color decks. It is very limited in what decks it can go in, just 5-color commanders. This one is literally any green deck. So any deck that has green could just chuck it in there. Are they going to? I would say probably not, but yeah, there you go. Requires very little setup to cast. I mean, yes, technically, in comparison like a Coalition Victory, they're the same amount of mana, 8 in total. This one, though, doesn't require, mana fixing at all, number 1. Number 2, it doesn't require you to have, things in play. Kind of, it does, though. You need to have at least a creature in play or you're taking yourself out. And, actually, yeah, if your opponents have a lot of creatures, too, it doesn't make sense to cast it as well. In a creature-heavy deck, you can maybe, think that you're going to have the most, but you're not guaranteed to have the most. I would argue against that. I think the main reason why is that, it can go in any green deck is probably why they didn't do it, essentially, right now. And really disproportionately impacts the player to your right. Sure. I mean, there are plenty of cards that do that exact same thing. Having that as an explanation or that as a reason, I completely disagree with, because there are so many cards out there that disproportionately impacts the player to your right. Like, again, any kind of a, like, oh, okay, I tap down all the creatures on the board card. Like, okay, that kind of a card. Like, if I have, whatever that Merfolk is that enters the battlefield and it taps everyone's creatures. Okay. That also disproportionately impacts the player to your right, because now they're wide open to be attacked, essentially, for 2 more turns, right? Sure. So, like, I don't think that that's a good justification. I guess if you're just going to say, like, literally the only justification we want to put in there is that this is a, I mean, kind of not chaos-inducing card, but in a way where it's like, can just be like a random I win the game type card you could just chuck in any green deck, or just a random, like, everyone goes down to almost no life except for probably me, or everyone goes down to almost no life. There are other cards that do that, but yeah, it is interesting. Compared to Coalition Victory, which only goes in 5-color decks and requires you to control 5 colors worth of permanents, it is a bit much. I disagree. I 100% disagree. I mean, again, only goes in 5-color decks. That is the main reason that these two are different. But again, requires you to control 5 colors worth of permanents. You kind of said the exact opposite of how that's actually very easy to do when you were saying that you're unbanning Coalition Victory, but it should be fine. Because again, if you have a commander that is all 5 colors, there's your check mark. You need to protect your commander. It's removable still. Yes, I understand that. But like, this one requires you, if you want to take the most advantage of it, obviously, to have a lot of creatures on the board, or also have your opponents have, like, basically no creatures on the board too. So unless you're controlling the board in that way, which takes more effort than just having one singular thing in play and protecting it, I disagree with that. That being said, it could potentially come off Sunday, but we're leaving it on for now. I don't know if they're ever going to take this one off. Again, I think that the main thing that is really holding this one in place on the ban list is that any green deck. Coalition Victory, it's a small splash effect, essentially, again, for the format in general, because there's only so many 5-color commanders out there, and I play almost all of them. I love 5-color. That being said, this being able to go in any green deck, that is a giant amount of decks, a huge pool of decks that could affect. And I think basically they're probably going to see, like, how things go with Coalition Victory first, essentially being unbanned. If that goes well, I do think that there is a chance of this one being unbanned too. And again, I think that saying it requires little setup to cast and disproportionately impacts the player to your right, not that it's disingenuous, but, like, I think it's doing a lot of work with just, like, the any green deck is kind of the main reason. So there you go. That's my take on it. Your take might be different, and that's okay. Let's keep things rolling, though, with Emrakul, the Aeon's Torn, a 15/15 Eldrazi for 15 mana. This spell can't be countered. Whenever you cast a spell, take an extra turn for this one. Flying protects from spells that are 1 or more colors, Annihilator 6. When it's put in a grave from anywhere, its owner shuffles it and their graveyard into their library. Yeah, this is another one where it's like, you know, it'd be kind of fun in a huge giant splash if they unbanned this one. Like, it would be absolutely massive if they unbanned this one. It would make a lot of news. I'm kind of not surprised that they didn't do that, though. It would be a major change. And again, one of those things that, like, if they ever brought back, like, banned as a commander, which I don't see them doing, especially since they just said, like, with Braids, one of the reasons that they unbanned Braids, again, spoiler alert, if you haven't seen my previous episode, make sure you check it out, was basically that, like, players can have those pregame conversations and are better at having those these days, and can recognize when they don't want to play against a certain commander and a certain commander type. Like, okay, Braids, Staxy commander that can get out super early. Yeah, that's kind of like the same as Grand Arbiter Gus in the Fourth, basically, in a way. I don't want to play against that. I just, like, literally, we are going to have a conversation before game, like, hey, oh, you pulled out that deck? Could you please pick something different, because, like, I'm not playing, a Staxy deck. You know, that's not really casual commander to many players out there. Similar with Emrakul, where it's not like a Stax commander, in a way, with Annihilator 6, though it kind of is. But, again, the type of commander that can just, like, I cast, I win the game. A lot of players might not be okay with playing against that. So, yeah, but in the 99... yeah, it's absurd, too, obviously, but you still have to cast it. There's, of course, ways to cheat it, but still... yeah, it's an absurdly amazing card. Yeah, it's amazing. Okay, let's see what they had to say about it. Now, Emrakul is a powerhouse, whether you cast or cheat on the battlefield. It is a colorless card that any deck can play. It was the de facto top end in a ton of decks while legal, and saw a lot more play than was fun. To some players, I mean, more play than it was fun. That's subjective. It's possible the bracket system grows and takes off, that it can be more tolerable in bracket 3 and above. I agree with that. I actually do, I think. But for the moment, we've elected to leave it in the ban list, see how these other changes go. I find that to be fair. Again, like, they're going to be, it seems like they're going about this in a very thought-through effort and not just being like, okay, unban everything and see what happens, okay? Throwing things into chaos. They're trying to, like, make things pretty stable, which is probably the best approach. The 5 that they unbanned, there's really not one of them that's, like, going to be all that problematic at all, even if they made a mistake on it. This one would have been one where it's like, you could see at your LGS, like, a ton of Emrakul decks right away. Definitely. Like, players have been waiting for this one to be unbanned. Not like Braids, where Braids like, yeah, will you see a Braids deck every now and then with someone, like, having it and asking if they can play it? Sure, but, like, very rare. It's not going to be a popular commander at all. Versus this one, I think would be super popular, would jump up toward the top of the colorless commanders. And yeah, again, I don't see them doing, like, a banned as a commander approach at all moving forward. So, I mean, maybe, again, like, with the bracket system, it's kind of not banned as a commander, but, like, Braids is automatically, since it's on the Game Changers list. Anything that was unbanned is on the Game Changers list now, I should say. So now Braids is technically only available in bracket 3 and above. Like, in Emrakul, if it was unbanned, would also be only available in bracket 3 or above. So it's kind of like banned at 1 and 2, which I think is pretty much a good solve anyways. So, yeah, like, I think this is fine. Like, I think that, not that I think it's fine, I think the decision right now is fine to keep it banned, see how things go, and eventually I could see them unbanning this one, though. Up next on the list, Arayo Soratami Ascendant. Now, this one I do think should have been unbanned because Braids was unbanned, and for the exact same reason. Yeah, players should be able to have those pre-game conversations and say, I'm not okay with playing against that deck. So, yeah, and that shouldn't be expected. Yeah. All right, Arayo Soratami Ascendant, a 1/1 flyer for 2 mana in blue. Whenever the force spell of a turn is played, you flip it. Flips over into Arayo's Essence. Let's see if I can read upside down. Legendary enchantment. Counter the first spell played by each opponent each turn. Fun to read upside down. Anyways, yeah, as a commander, incredibly problematic. It's just like, hey, okay, get it in play. Cast a bunch of spells really quickly. In your opponent's, like, if they try to stop you, you're just going to cast even more spells and flip it. So, there you go, because they can, the force spell of a turn, not even including yours, includes all players' spells. So yeah, you flip it, and then all of a sudden your opponents are just kind of locked out of the first spell that they cast every turn. So it's a free counterspell for you every single turn, or every single first spell they cast. And then if you just have any kind of other counterspells in a control strategy, your opponents aren't going to be doing anything basically the entire game right away. And it's super easy to do this super quickly. Again, though, here's the thing. Not problematic in the 99. Like, it isn't one singular card in the 99. Are there more problematic pieces out there in the 99? Absolutely. Is it annoying in the 99? Sure. But, like, put on the Game Changers list, it's like a Staxy effect. You're not going to see it played in the lower power tiers. Yeah, as a commander, incredibly problematic. As a card in the 99, not problematic in how it's going to be used. And again, it's a singular card, and you have to still flip it within the deck. But as a commander, very bad. Let's see what they had to say about this. This card is incredibly unfun when flipped early. I don't disagree. And structuring your deck to do that on the second or even first turn is fairly easy. Again, if you have it as your commander. That's what they're not saying right here, though. Like, you're not going to be able to consistently able to do that, essentially, if it's in the 99 of a deck. Combining with Arcane Laboratory can end the game. Yes. But even without that, it's an oppressive force. It's not that beloved or fun, and not something we're eager to unban this time. So here's the difference, I guess, where they said that Braids is beloved. Braids, the reason why Braids was unbanned is because people were clamoring for it, people were asking for it. I am someone, when it comes to rules, I like consistency, and I like decision processes to be consistent when it comes to those kinds of things. If you're going to say we're unbanning Braids because people can have that pre-game conversation of it as a commander, but you don't unban Arayo when it's the exact same thing and it's not problematic in the 99, and neither's Braids, basically, again, of casual decks, because casual decks don't use those in the 99, then you know what? I don't think that the reason that you can unban one versus the other is because, well, people like this one. It's beloved. Okay, again, you should be consistent with that, where you say, okay, like, again, Braids is unbanned. It is problematic as a commander, but no one's going to play it as a commander. Same thing with Arayo. So, yeah, have those pregame conversations, basically, to make sure that players aren't getting a very bad play experience by playing against this, essentially. So, yeah, you're kind of letting one thing do heavy lifting on one and not on the other, and I don't like inconsistencies like that. So, yeah, Wizards, I disagree with this one. Now on to the next one. We've got Fast Bond. It enchantment for a single green mana, and they put the old version up here, so here you go. You may put as many lands as you want, as many lands into play as you want each turn. These old ones are worded very weirdly. Fast Bond deals 1 damage to you for each land beyond the first that you play in a single turn. Basically, dump your lands from your hand into play, and 1 damage is nothing per land. So there you go. Yeah, this one, not surprised that this one did not get unbanned. It's incredibly fast. I mean, just absurd. Just like, okay, 1 mana, drop my hand into play, basically. I mean, most of my hand. Okay, let's see what Wizard does say about this one. Not only is this incredibly strong way to continuously play additional lands for little cost, but there are all kinds of loops you can pull off with cards like Crucible Worlds. Kind of forgot about that as well. I guess that does make sense where, like, literally Crucible Worlds plus this, plus any kind of a fetch land, Evolving Wilds, equals get all the lands out of your deck, basically, and just take damage. Who cares? So I kind of was even thinking about that. And this is one that I don't think that they're ever probably going to unban. I wouldn't be surprised if this one just stays banned permanently. Again, maybe one day they have like a tier 6, which is like no holds barred, like literally any kind of a card. Maybe they do that at some point. Maybe 10 years down the road we get to that point, but or power creep gets to the point where this is just like, oh wow, fast ban, yeah, that's okay, I guess, mid tier. Yeah, this one's not going to get unbanned though for quite some time, if ever. Continuing on, Flash. Here we go. Instant for 2 mana in blue. You may put a creature card from your hand on the battlefield. If you do, sacrifice it unless you pay its mana cost reduced by up to 2. Okay, this one might be one of the most controversial ones that I'm going to be discussing because my perspective might differ from many out there, but I don't think that this should be banned at all. I think that this one was banned to appease just CEDH players, which is completely understandable and fine, but like, why don't you just, put an asterisk on like the tier 5, no Flash. Every other tier, Flash is fine. This is like the reverse of a lot of bans where, again, a lot of cards are banned because like casual players, it's not good for casual, but might be fine in CEDH essentially. This one's literally the exact opposite where this card is nothing in casual. This card is not overpowered in casual. You're never going to see this card be like, oh my gosh, Flash, wow, oh. It wouldn't even be a game changer. This is a card where if it was unbanned and it was okay for casual, it's not a game changer. The only reason that it is banned is because it's oppressively powerful in CEDH, because this, like plus Protean Hulk equals, I win the game. Super fast, super early, super hard to stop. That being said, again, I don't think that you should be making decisions when it comes to banning cards for a very specific part of the whole of Commander, when it comes to saying like this card is too powerful for literally the most powerful decks out there, but not too powerful for the lower tiers. Again, if you want to make that, just literally put like, okay, on the CEDH tier, or on the, the tier 5 or whatever, just put no Flash. Like, just put there. Okay, there you go. That solves the issue. It's literally just banned technically in CEDH versus banning it in the whole thing. Now, the reason that that's not happening is because, again, this is a card that would not see a lot of play, if any at all, in casual. So people aren't clamoring for this to be unbanned. But again, as someone who likes rule consistency, essentially, I think that this is pretty inconsistent when you're like, okay, we're banning all these cards because they're too powerful. But this one is not powerful for casual, but it's way too powerful for the most powerful decks out there. Okay, I disagree. All right, anyways. In CEDH, so many games are coming down to Flash and Protean Hulk, leading to Flash's ban. Cheating in enter effects with Flash is only going to become more powerful over time. It's staying banned. They're not really going too far into this, and I think that they should be giving more explanation as to why it was banned just for CEDH. It's like a one-time appeasement for CEDH. I got nothing in CEDH players. I'm just saying that it is a very, very, very specific banning. It is one that they're not going to unban because there's not a clamoring around it to be unbanned. And it is one that, again, like players aren't there like, oh, I need Flash. So I just like consistency when it comes to rules and banning things and unbanning things. And we'll get to the Soul Ring discussion later. But yeah, Flash is one where no one's asking for it to be unbanned. And again, the CH crowd definitely doesn't want it unbanned, so it's not going to be unbanned. Let's take a look at the next card. We've got Golo's Tireless Pilgrim, my old friend. A 3/5 scout for 5 mana. I was going to say in colorless, or in generic mana, but it is a 5-color commander. Enters the battlefield, you may search your library for a land card, put that card on the battlefield, tap, then shuffle your library by paying 2 and Wooburg, 7 mana in total. Exile the top 3 cards of your library. You may play them this turn without paying their mana cost. So yeah, Golos was one that was speculated to maybe be unbanned because, well, the time that it was banned, basically the reasoning for it was the rules committee does not like 5-color good stuff, and this one was basically like 5-color good stuff. Everyone was playing it, essentially. There was no reason to play any other 5-color commander. I disagree with that, personally. That's like, there's no other reason to play any other 5-color commander. No, I disagree. This is just a very fun 5-color commander to play, so that's why a lot of players played it. I disagree. Anyways, it was banned. Let's see what Wizards' explanation is for not unbanning it. Golos is an incredibly powerful 5-color option that both finds any land, ensuring that even if dead, you likely have enough mana to recast it next turn. True. It has an activated ability that can be extremely strong spout for all of that mana. Really homogenized games that was a de facto best commander for many. So this is kind of why, this is exactly why the reason why they're saying like it should be banned. Many decks, perhaps it's acceptable in higher brackets, but it's not something we want to touch today. I mean, it's most definitely acceptable in higher brackets. Like, I don't think that's a discussion at all. You cannot say that this is a more powerful commander than ones that are legal. There are plenty of commanders that are legal right now that are much more powerful than Golos. Like, Urza is not banned. Urza is a more powerful commander. I mean, also, again, like, ones that even are on the Game Changers list are more powerful than this one. What's the Is It command or whatever that came out recently that, like, you cast spells, you copy it, and then it can untap, and then you just, okay, cool, infinite mana, like, or infinite right away early on in the game. I can't remember that one. Owl's a Thunder Junction. Anyways, Precon commander. Some of the comments will help me out. There are more powerful commanders out there than Goals. There are some that are far more powerful. It is still a 5-mana commander, and you do require some setup at least to actually get things going, and it is random off the top, though you can set that too. Is it a powerful commander? Absolutely. I think the reason why, again, and the reason why it was banned initially is because it homogenized games. It was the de facto best commander option. Okay, so you designed too good of a commander. Okay, so then you should take that away from other categories too then, right? Like, all right, Dragon, the de facto option for dragons. Kranko is the de facto option for goblins. I mean, how many more goblin decks out there for Kranko versus the other goblin decks? That's basically homogenizing goblins then, right? Okay, you can't make that argument for one thing but not for another. It's not consistent. The reason why this one is banned is because the rules committee did not like 5-color good stuff, and they don't like a lot of people playing it. So it was banned because of that, essentially. It's just, that's the reason. We've got a ton more 5-color commanders these days than we used to now, since Golos was banned. With it being unbanned, is it going to suddenly just shoot up the charts and, like, all the other people who are playing 5-color decks are just going to take apart all of their decks and be like, I'm just playing Golos, nothing else? No, that's not going to be the case. So I think just hiding behind, essentially, like, again, like saying, like, oh, it's incredibly powerful. It's not more powerful than other commanders out there right now. Perhaps it's acceptable in higher brackets. No, really, it is most definitely acceptable in higher brackets. Like, it is not more powerful than commanders out there that aren't banned. The only reason why it is banned is because of optics. That's literally it. It's because of optics. It's because, oh, we don't want a lot of people playing 5-color good stuff. Okay. Like, people should be able to play whatever kind of decks they want out there, right? Like, someone plays Chair Tribal. You're not like, oh, you can't play Chair Tribal. We're banning whatever the Chair Tribal commander is. Every commander in a chair is banned. No, I disagree. And I know some people don't like playing against Ghosts. That's completely fine. But again, like, I think trying to, like, hide behind it's incredibly powerful 5-color. We can't have an incredibly powerful 5-color commander. I mean, Kenny is more powerful. Kenny is so much more powerful than Golos, and it is not banned. Kenny has so many combinations. It is a infinite combo on a commander that gives you just, like, all of that option. Like, this is not more powerful than Kenny. And Kenny is also a homogenizing commander. Okay. All right, I disagree with this one, and maybe you disagree with me. That's completely fine. I think Golos should be unbanned, and at some point, I think it will be unbanned. It's just going to take some time. I don't think that they're looking for a big splash right away. And again, the 5 cards they chose to unban, none of them are, like, giant splashes compared to what this one would be. So, in that way, I think it makes sense, but, like, I think, again, saying that, like, again, perhaps it's acceptable. Like, yes, it's acceptable. It's not more powerful than other commanders. Like, if they're going to try to argue that this is, like, the most powerful commander of all time and you couldn't unban it, I would disagree. Let's take a look at the next card, Grizzlebrand, a 7/7 demon for 8 mana in total, flying lifelink, pay 7 mana, draw 7 cards. Basically, in Commander, free draw. Just draw whatever amount you want because you got 40 life, and of course, you've got, like, ways to gain life, obviously, to, you know, mitigate any kind of life loss. And then, yeah, you can basically just draw your entire deck very easily with this if you really wanted to. Even if you're not drawing your entire deck, at the very least, let's say that you're at, your starting life total. You can draw, 35 cards? So you're going to be able to get to exactly what you need to win from there. So there you go. And again, for free whenever you want. I mean, at the cost of life, but for free in activating, and you can activate whenever you want. Crazy good card. Okay, so again, whereas Golos is like, as commander, this one, that would banned as commander, basically, is why, that would be banned. This one's like, yeah, it's still very, very pushed, obviously, in the 99, of course. As a commander, ridiculous as well, but yeah, in the 99, it's like, yeah, still, there you go, there's the problematic piece. Okay, anyways. Cheating out a Grizzlebrand and drawing an absurd number of cards was an incredibly powerful thing to do during the 1-month window where it was legal, leading to a quick action. I didn't realize there was a 1-month window where it was legal. Interesting. Once in play, you tend to draw either 28 or 35 cards immediately. Yeah, again, that's very easy to do in Commander because your life pool is just so high. You might even make it higher than that. And the game often ends that turn. I mean, yeah, because you typically draw into whatever you need to win from there. Or, again, there are free ways to actually... There's a couple of... I mean, at least one that comes to mind, free card that you can, exile another card from your hand, cast it, and then you gain some life. Cool, alright. So, you could keep things going in that way. Or you just draw it into, a Dark Ritual. It lets you cast something else. It lets you cast something else. And then, yeah, you just combo win, basically, right then and there. I can imagine a world in which Grizzlebrand turns for high player brackets to enjoy. But I would say it's more likely not... I say it is more likely than not Grizzlebrand... If I could read. But I would say it is more likely than not... There we go. Grizzlebrand permanently remains on the ban list. Okay. So, yeah. Again, I feel like if you were to be okay, this is at, tier 4 or 5... probably would be okay, right? In tier 3, maybe not. Maybe not. Again, that's kind of the difference I would see between this one and Golos is they wouldn't be not okay with Golos in the 99 of a deck. This one, they're yeah, not in the 99 of a deck. And also can fit in a lot more decks out there, which is the kind of argument against it, basically. Yeah, this is one where, again, I don't have any love for Grizzlebrand to get unbanned. And again, I'm definitely coming from a biased perspective with my takes on these. 100% understand that. I don't think it's the most powerful commander of all time or the most powerful card of all time. There are plenty of other, again, when they make this argument of well, it's an 8-mana sorcery for Coalition Victory. It's yes, that makes sense that you're okay, that's okay to win. Grizzlebrand's also 8 mana. That being said, yes, there are more ways to cheat creatures into play. A lot more ways. Again, any kind of reanimation effect, which there are plenty of low-to-the-ground ones that are quite cheap. So, yeah, again, and the 99 is probably more so the sticking point. Obviously, not a nice commander either. But again, this one would see a good amount of play in the 99. Essentially, why is this one is probably going to stay banned forever. Time to shift gears, though. Hull Breacher. I didn't realize that they had this one reprinted in the Mystery Booster, too. I think that's what this is. Anyways, a 3/2 Merfolk Pirate with Flash for 3 mana in blue. If an opponent would draw a card except the first one they draw in each of their draw steps, instead, you create a treasure token. I mean, this is an obnoxious card. It just is. It says, hey, you know what? I'm going to wheel. You all lose your hands. And then I get a lot of treasures. It's just, that's kind of just basically what it is. Or again, at the very least, someone casts a massive draw spell, and you say, instead of you drawing the cards, not only do you get to not draw them, but I get an absurd amount of mana for you doing that. So yeah, it is a crazy good card. But yeah, I think the main reason why that this one was banned is probably because just its interaction with wheels is just absolutely obnoxious. So yeah, it's pretty crazy. Here we go. This is an unfun card that stifled a popular part of Commander, spiked the popularity of wheels. Yeah, there you go. Spiked popular wheel effects and made a outrageous number of treasure tokens. Again, I think the thing was basically they were kind of discussing at one point. I think it got proposed at some point. Just ban all the wheels. It's no. Ban the problematic cards with the wheels. Don't ban the wheels. Don't ban the wheels. So yeah, basically, again, a card like this, yeah, is absurdly good with wheels, and it's absolutely obnoxious with that. I would also argue that, everyone close your ears real quick if you're a Smothering Tithe fan, but Smothering Tithe is also kind of problematic with wheels as well. But that doesn't mean that one's going to get banned. It's too popular. Made an outrageous number of treasure tokens. There is theoretically rejiggering of brackets where you could tell me this is acceptable, but I wouldn't expect it, and certainly not brackets as they are now. Again, would it be okay in, tier 5? Sure, I'm sure it would be. Yeah, CDH, I mean, you could tell me differently, CDH players out there, but, I don't think that this would be unacceptable there. Like, people aren't like, oh my gosh, you cast a wheel, the meanest thing of all time. It's like, no, okay, this is just problematic more so in casual. And yeah, I don't think it's going to get unbanned because it is quite problematic in casual just with how powerful it is and how obnoxious that is to play against. And someone's like, wheel, 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 wheel. By the way, you get nothing and I get all the cards. Yay! Or all the, cards and mana. Yay! It's going to stay banned. Let's move forward. And I think as a community, we all should have moved forward with unbanning Iona. But they didn't. Anyways, Iona Shield of Emeria, a 7/7 angel flying for 9 mana in white. As it enters, choose a color. Your opponents can't cast spells of the chosen color. Okay, I understand. This card is mean, obnoxious against, well, very specifically, monocolored decks. Okay, sure. And yes, you can cheat things into play. Yep, agree. That being said, it's very specific on when it's obnoxious. I don't think it should be banned, personally. And again, like, their initial, reasoning for banning it was like, well, we're unbanning Painter's Servant, and therefore Iona must be banned. That's right. This 11-mana combo is going to just terrorize everyone. Versus all the other combos that exist. Yeah, not a very good reason to ban it at all, in my opinion, initially. And yeah, just kind of like, well, it's mean against monocolored. Okay, well, also, here's the thing. I mean, what's that one Eldrazi? There's an Eldrazi out there, like, you can't cast even numbered spells or whatever it is, or odd numbered spells. Okay, well, that's obnoxious too, isn't it? And that's mean to decks that are specifically those types. Obviously, that's a bit facetious because, yeah, there's more decks out there that are monocolored. Sure. That being said, politic and get players to take a card out for you. Anyways, here we go. Iona was discussed heavily. On one hand, it's an awesome 9-mana angel that can create some pretty interesting decisions against a table of 3-color decks. Absolutely it can. You have to make the right choice. Yeah, and it's a huge angel. Angel's a popular creature type. On the other hand, it can shut down monocolored decks. And turn off half a 2-color deck? Okay, I guess that's a reasoning for it too. But mainly it's literally because it can shut down monocolored decks. And that is seen as quite mean. There are other ways to shut things down out there. Yes, I don't know. The play pattern of this card is not the most fun, and we wanted to hold off for now. It could theoretically return to Commander in the future. I think it should be fun. Again, if you're going to take it off the ban list, it goes on the Game Changers list. It's Tier 3 and up. I think you should be able to expect something like that, Tier 3 and up. And again, it's very specific when it just incredibly impacts one player. There's other ways to incredibly impact one player, though, out there that are still legal. So, again, when you're being inconsistent with decisions that are being made, I don't quite like that. So, yeah, I think it should be unbanned, but maybe that's just me. Onward we go! This one's never going to get unbanned. Leavold, Emissary of Trust, a 3/3 Elf Advisor for 3 mana in Sultai. Each opponent can't draw more than 1 card each turn. Whenever you or a permanent you control becomes the target of a spell or ability opponent controls, you may draw a card. Having that first line of text, literally, you can make this commander cost whatever. It doesn't matter. Having that first line of text on a commander basically just auto-bans it these days because, again, all you need to do is just wheel once and the game is over. Basically, your opponents are just top decking then at that point. You're like, all right, here, all right, cool. I get all these cards and you get nothing. Yay! And you can't catch back up. Yay! If you ever try to target my things, I also draw more cards. Yay! It's an obnoxious commander. Would it be okay in the 99? I mean, I don't think they want to encourage more of these things out there, but this is one that, okay, and this is probably the weird thing where, no, I'm not being consistent either, and there you go. If you unbanned Braids, which they did, it's not going to become popular. It's not. It's not going to become a popular commander that everyone's like, oh my gosh, I got to go play that. Or Orio, if it was unbanned, same thing. Emrakul getting unbanned, would it become a popular commander? All right? Leavold as well. Players out there are probably more willing to be obnoxious with Leavold. So, technically, I guess I should say, that if I'm expecting players to have that pregame conversation, and now I'm going to be changing my tone a little bit, if I expect players to have that pregame conversation with Braids, they should be able to have that with Leavold too and be like, yeah, I'm not playing against that. No. You're just going to wheel, the game's going to be over, it's going to be a non-game, essentially. If you restricted this to I don't even know if it'd be okay in CDH actually, but there you go. Okay. As a theme today, stopping your opponents from drawing X cards is very powerful in Commander. Couple of the fact that you can play it as your commander and get value if people try to target it makes it unlikely to return. So again, I think the hinge point on this one is literally like people would play it as a commander. And again, they're never going to do. I mean, and that maybe that's the thing. Maybe at some point they do actually make the, banned as a commander. Because in the 99, this would be fine in the 99. Like, there are other cards that do the exact same thing in the 99 that are currently not banned, basically. Or even the exact same thing and more, really. So, with that, yeah, I don't think it's ever going to get unbanned. I think there's definitely more people out there that are like, never unban that, than people who are like, please unban it. That being said, again, unlike Braids, this is one that would get built around as a commander. It definitely would. And it would be more problematic as a commander than, say, Emrakul, with people building around it. So that's probably the reasoning. Again, there's probably not enough people out there clamoring for this one to get unbanned. It's probably never going to get unbanned. All right, buckle up for this next one. Limited resources. Yeah, it's kind of funny. Where some of them, they actually, like, with the initial list of like, hey, we're not going to talk about, these cards. The Moxes were on there and whatnot and other cards. But, like, we're not going to talk about these cards because it makes sense. They're already been. All right, we're not going to discuss it. This one they probably didn't have to discuss, to be honest. All right, limited resources. An enchantment for a single white mana. Comes into play. Each player chooses 5 lands they control, sacrifices the rest. As long as there are 10 or more lands in play, players cannot play lands. Yeah, I don't know if they had to explain this one, but maybe, again, like, I guess, technically. But, like, in casual Commander, just kind of like resource denial like this, just like that, there's no question that it should not be used in casual. Locking each player to 5 lands forever is extremely constraining and not that much fun. All for a single mana. I think it's unlikely to see this return. I mean, it's not even just locking players to 5 lands. Like, it's locking each player to probably 2 or 3 lands, essentially. If you play this early enough, again, like, players aren't sacrificing down to 5. Players only have, again, if you play this turn 1, players can basically only play up to once 10 lands are in play in total. So yeah, 2 or 3 lands in total each player will have, and the game might just literally stop right then and there, and players might not have anything to do, and you're just top decking, hoping to hit like low to the ground things until you actually do that. So yeah, it's never gonna get unbanned, just ever. You're not ready for this next one because, yeah, I'm sorry, Otter fans, but this is never gonna be unbanned unless they literally change, like, like banned as companion. Unless they like literally make that a thing. Lutri will never be unbanned, and I 100% agree that it should not be. It should not be unbanned, and they were 100% correct to ban this before. Literally, I think they banned it, like, they literally had spoiled, and then they banned it right away. Like, and that was 100% completely fine with me. 3/2 Elemental Otter for 3 mana and Izzet. Companion. Each non-land card in your starting deck has a different name. Basically, are you playing a game of Commander? Yeah, check. Cool. There you go. Yep, awesome. You got it. You meet the companion requirement. Unless you literally are playing, like, Persistent Petitioners. That's it. That's basically it. Are you playing, like, any of those types of decks that run, like, I can have as many cards as I want? Dragon's Approach, whatever those are. Like, all of those types, okay? Slide Against Humanity. All of those. If you're not playing that, this is 100% is going in any deck that has Izzet. It doesn't matter what this does. Literally, I could not read the rest of the card. Even if this is just a 3/2 for 3 mana, that literally is just a free additional 101st card for any deck that has Izzet colors, it would still be banned. It doesn't matter what it does. Flash enters the battlefield if you cast it. Copy target, instant sorcery spell. You control, you may choose the targets for the copy. Okay, anyways. Again, it basically is like dual caster mage out of the command zone or companion zone, basically. But, like, again, literally just the fact that you get a free extra card just by playing Izzet color identity, essentially. Izzet plus color identity as well. Yeah, it's never going to get unbanned unless they change the companion rule. Unless they say literally, like, banned as companion. Yeah. Is this fine in the 99? Yes. Is this fine as a commander? 100%. 100% fine either way. Is this fine as a companion? Absolutely no. Because it's a free companion that takes absolutely no deck building to actually include it as an extra free card. You just get an extra free advantage if you're playing Izzet Plus. So they're never, ever going to unban it, and I don't think they should. Unless, again, they change the rule to say, okay, ban as companion. Okay? Poor Lutri. And that's this thing. If this wasn't a cute otter, like, it wouldn't get this much support. If this is like an ugly ogre, they'd be like, I'm sorry, ugly ogre. I'm sorry. I don't mean to call you ugly ogre. But anyways, if this was a ogre that was not all that pleasing to look at compared to a cute otter, it would not be getting people being like, please unban it, okay? Anyways. Well, the shell of the card is no doubt fine, 100%. Again, I literally said it could just be a 3/2. That does nothing else. It doesn't matter. Many players would love to see the otter freed, because it's just otter, all right? And the post-blue world, yes. The companion restrictions mean that every deck with blue and red in its color identity could include it at no cost. Yeah, literally, again, like, unless you're playing Persistent Petitioners, you can just use the card for free. That's not appropriate or tenable. I agree, and it sets a bad precedent. I could imagine a world with a allowed only the 99 list that would free the Otter to go in people's decks. I mean, it could also be a commander. It could just be a commander too. But we're not doing this now, nor is there any guarantee that we'll do that ever. So Lutri stays. We welcome your feedback. Yeah, again, there's going to be discussions around this one. There's going to be players that are upset that Lutri was not unbanned. There's going to be players that be like, well, why can't I just play as a commander or can't play in the 99? I mean, that's one where you could just ask your playgroup and they're going to be okay with it, most of the time. But they're going to be okay with it because, this is a card that's not problematic at all in the 99 or as a commander. But as a companion, incredibly problematic because it's a free card. Literally, again, they said, just, hey, every deck with blue and red's colored any gets a free extra card. It doesn't matter what it does. It literally does not matter what it does. It's just a free extra card, which is a free additional advantage over your opponents for doing absolutely nothing. So you do not get that. And unless they ever, do banned as a companion or okay in the 99 or whatever, then yeah, it is never going to be unbanned. Here comes a spicy one, though, and one that was around a lot of discussion a while ago. Nadu Winged Wisdom. Yeah, surprise, not unbanned. No, really. That would have been maybe the weirdest decision that they made if they were like, okay, we unbanned these 5 cards, and also, we're sorry, Nadu, we made a mistake. We shouldn't have unbanned you, or banned you, ha ha ha. Yeah, no, they didn't do that. 3/4, Bird Wizard with flying for 3 mana and Simic. Creatures you control have, whenever this creature becomes the target of a spell or ability, or reveal the top card of your library. If it's a land card, put it on the battlefield. Otherwise, put in your hand. This ability triggers only twice each turn. Okay, so here we go. Nadu is one that is... its play pattern is basically obnoxious. Because... I don't know how they I guess I know how they missed it because they did a late change to what the commander design was and then they didn't test it. But if you look back, the initial design of the commander was completely fine. It was basically Vidalcan Ori in the command zone. I'm pretty sure if I remember correctly. And the thing they changed it to is completely not fine because they missed that things like Shuko can just oh, okay, yeah, I'm equipping this equipment for free. Oh, that targets. Oh, that targets. Oh, that targets. Oh, that targets. And it's per each creature you get 2 triggers, so... yeah, if you've got any way to, landfall, make a creature token, okay, cool. You just go infinite, but, not quite infinite, because sometimes you can just get stopped by it. And then it's you just took a 20-minute turn, you didn't win the game, and everyone's like, why do we just sit here and watch this, basically? So its play pattern is not good for Commander, especially casual Commander. Here we go. This incredibly problematic card has earned its ban in most formats. Yeah, Commander included. It leads to very long and unfun combo turns, which is extremely strong staples like Lightning Greaves. Again, I kind of forgot to mention Lightning Greaves, but yeah, Shuko, obviously a very weird card that only sees plays in things like this. But yeah, Lightning Greaves, of course, again, literally has, equip 0. Doesn't matter what else the card does. It just equip 0. Okay, cool. All right. I move it to this. That targets. I move it to that. That targets. I move it to this. It targets. You get all those triggers, okay? Not to mention, it easily refunds the mana to play itself on the command zone again. It is unlikely to return. Yeah, again, maybe at the highest tier, you could be okay. And again, maybe, I don't know exactly where this finished in CEDH before it was banned, but it's probably pretty powerful there too. But yeah, definitely not casual tables that are not okay with okay, you just took 20 minutes in a turn. I learned that the hard way with my Joyer deck a long, long time ago. The one deck I'll never play. Check that episode out. One deck I'll never play. One deck I won't play again. But yeah, it is something that it's got an obnoxious play pattern, so it's not going to be unbanned. Things are just heating up with this list, though, because next up we've got Paradox Engine, a Ledger artifact for 5. Whenever you cast a spell, untap all non-land permanents you control. This one's pretty similar to Nadu, and maybe that's why they actually kind of put them back to back, where this can again have a problematic play pattern where it's again okay, I'm kind of going infinite-ish, I've got this combo going, but it's not deterministic. It's I don't know if I'm going to win with it, and we don't know if I'm going to win with it. I got to keep things going. Again, I cast something, I untap all my non-land permanents, which of course includes mana dorks, mana rocks, and all of a sudden, oh, I get mana again. Okay, I tap, I cast something else. Okay, I draw a lot of cards with this. Okay, they all untap. Okay, I do it again, and again, and again. And there's kind of just again, you taking a very long 20-minute turn without actually any resolution potentially on winning the game. And this is just also an incredibly powerful combo piece that combos with so many things as well on top of that. On top of it being problematic in that, it's non-deterministic winning, it's also just hey, combo with so many things. Okay, an incredibly easy combo and mana generation card, yes. With all the artifact mana played in Commander, yes. Again, it doesn't untap lands, but it untaps, again, if you just got mana rocks, good for you, or mana dorks too, yes. I could imagine if brackets are strongly and widely adopted, us talking about it as a potential game changer, but we are a long way off from that. I mean, again, it's probably, let me know, CDH players out there, is this fine in CDH? I mean, again, that's kind of the weird thing about, like, bracket 4. That's a completely different discussion for a different day, but, like, 4 it's the same thing as CDH. Like, when it comes to the actual, like, restrictions on cards in it, there's no restrictions, just like CDH, okay? And I understand that, like, CDH is, like, the highest tuned ones, but, yeah, like, if I'm playing a 3, I also don't want to play against Paradox Engine. Like, I don't want to play against it at A4. And technically, if it's A4, then, like, yeah, I don't know. So maybe there's, like, a delineation someday where it's, like, CDH only type cards, which I don't know if they'll ever do that, but yeah, this would probably be fine. Let me know in the comments below CDH players out there in CDH, but I don't think in casual at all. Again, players don't want those non-deterministic loops, basically, in casual games. Get ready for what's coming up next, or should I say, not coming up next at a Commander table to you. Prime Time. Primeval Titan, not unbanned. This is definitely one that got speculated a lot to be unbanned. There's a lot of people who bought out a lot of Primeval Titans and are probably disappointed these days. A 6/6 giant with trample for 6 mana in green. Whenever it enters the battlefield or attacks, you may search your life for the 2 land cards, put on battlefield, tap, then shuffle your library. I personally think that, like, if it's on the game changers list, this would probably be fine. But that maybe is just me. I understand that it's any lands you want. This is a lot of ramp. Yeah, it's still, I still think it'd be fine if it was unbanned on the game changers list, tier 3 or above. Like this is not the same level as some of the other cards that we're talking about on today's episode. While it's beloved and nostalgic, so again, like, if you're making certain, like, beloved nostalgic, Braids unbanned. But then this is like, beloved nostalgic, not banned. The amount this card accelerates is massive, agreed, really dominate the game. There are other cards out there that do this. There are other cards out there that do exactly this. Okay. Anyways, those who played it back when it was legal know how often the game revolved around a Primeval Titan. Yes, again. Okay, same thing with Smothering Tithe. The game revolves around Smothering Tithe. Should we ban that? Consistency, people. Anyways, whether it died or not, cloning it or otherwise, I do think this is a card that could potentially return from the Game Changers list. So, yeah, again, I do think that is what's going to be happening at some point. This card can be extremely warping and was not the time. Warping and now was not the time. Yeah, again, I understand that not unbanning it with the first unbanning, again, like when it comes to those other 5 cards, like how much play are all of them going to see comparatively to Prime Time out of all the cards that were unbanned, Coalition Victory, Sway the Stars, Gifts Ungiven, the Mirror, and Braids. This would easily see the most play. So I see them being like, okay, like, let's put out these ones that, like, are going to see either limited or low amounts of play before actually making a giant swing with, like, a Primeval Titan, which, yeah, power level wise, in my opinion, would be fine on the Game Changers list. Again, like, tiers 4, or 4, 5, or whatever it is, 3, 4, 5. I guess 3 can have it too, as long as you have up to 3. But basically, again, like, this is a card where it's powerful, but, like, it's not overpowered compared to a lot of the things out there that are already not banned. And, yeah, it is one where maybe they're just going to dip their toes, see what happens with the other unbans, and then eventually unban this one. I do think that someday this will get unbanned. Wait until you see this next one, though, because Prophet of Krupix, hey, still banned. Prophet of Krupix, a 2/3 human wizard for 5 mana in Simic. Untap all creatures and lands you control during each other player's untapped step. You may cast creature cards as though they had flash. Basically, Seedborn Muse meets Vedalken Orrery specifically for creatures, though. And Seedborn Muse only in that it untaps creatures and lands, though, but lands still, too. Yeah, which is the thing that matters the most. So, yeah, the combination of Vedalken Orrery in Seedborn Muse is incredibly obnoxiously powerful. You basically get 3 extra turns, essentially is what this is, every single trip around the table, because you get your turn, then you get a turn on an opponent's turn, and then another opponent's turn, another opponent's turn. You're basically getting 4 turns of each trip around the table. It's pretty crazy. So, yeah, there's a reason why this one's banned. Seedborn Muse just got promoted to the Game Changers list. Oh, spoiler, Wizards. We're going to get to that here in a little bit. And Prophet is that. But you also get free reign of player spells on everyone's turn. So again, literally, it is Seedborn Muse plus Vedalken Orrery, basically. For creature spells, sure, but basically. It's a really powerful card that also monopolizes the time in the game. 100%. So again, unlike, where we talked about how Paradox Engine is, like, more so like, oh, okay, cool, like, 20 minutes turn. This is more like 20 minutes, not per each of your turns, but, like, with each trip on the table, you're taking 20 minutes because you're playing 5 minutes on your turn, 5 minutes on opponent's turn, 5 minutes on another turn, basically. And not always like that amount of time, but still, like, you are spreading out the amount of time that you were taking, but it is all still you taking an absurd amount of time throughout the game. Profit, player gets an extra turn of playing creature spells for each other person over and over again, absolutely dominating at low power tables and still quite strong higher up. It isn't necessarily locked to the main list forever, but now is not the time to remove it. Yeah, it's just kind of an obnoxious card. I don't know if it's ever going to get unbanned. I'm sure there's players out there that are asking for it. Like, I don't know if it'd be all that problematic on CDH, because, like, sure, like, some creature combos are, like, you know, at the top, but, like, also there's other combos, too. And there's things that are going to be quicker than this, obviously. But, yeah, for lower power tables, definitely not an acceptable card to play. It just really, really, really warps the game entirely, and, again, makes it so that one player is just taking an absurd amount of time throughout the game, which is something that they don't like players to do. Now, this one's worth your attention because Recurring Nightmare, still banned. Enchantment for 3 mana in black, sacrifice a creature, return it to its owner's hand, put target creature card from your graveyard into play, only at sorcery speed. This one's about an obnoxious play pattern as well. Basically, this is a very powerful recursion spell, reanimation spell, I should say, but also, like, this recurs itself in a way, too, so, like, you are very easily able to just, like, loop this. So, yeah, it's more of a play pattern thing. Essentially, it's problematic just with the card design. But, yeah, it's just something that they don't want, I guess. The play pattern of repeatedly looping these same creatures without interaction window because the recurring of the enchantment is a cost in the combo potential leads to a card that is more likely to create harm than frustration than good. Yeah, that's probably why, again, they're not unbanning it. Like, are there more powerful things out there? Absolutely. Are there easier combos to pull off? Absolutely. Can this be obnoxious? Yes, and that's probably what tilted them on, like, not unbanning it. Yeah. It is nostalgic, which is nice, but not a card you want to touch at this time. Could I see it unbanned at some point? Yeah, I think so. I think maybe in a few years, potentially. This is not one where, like, the next batch of unbannings, I can't imagine this one be unbanned, the next batch of unbannings. Again, I think they're going to kind of keep dipping their toes into the shallow end of the pool. I don't think that's a phrase, but sure. They're going to be, you know, figuring out what's working on the unbannings, essentially, and then, like, a prime time might get unbanned next, but not something that's going to be like this, necessarily, where it's, like, completely obnoxious to play against for certain play groups, so we shall see. Pay close attention to this one because Rapello's Llanowar Emissary still banned. I don't know. Again, I think that this one, I think this one's fine. I think it's fine. I think it's completely fine. Anyways, a 2/1 elf legend for 2 mana in green. Tap add 1 green mana to your mana pool for each forest you control. Yeah, it's really powerful, sure. You're mono green. And there's other mono green commanders out there that are more powerful. Just let you know, there's more powerful mono green commanders out there that, like, can tap for even more, like, very easily. So, I don't know. Like, I don't think that this one's all that problematic compared to some other things out there. Okay, anyways. All right, the mana provided by Raphellos is out of the command zone is massive. Sure. Yes. Cool. Maybe this could be something that could only be in your deck, not as a commander, as it's much stronger when your deck is built around it, but this card unlikely to return at this time. I mean, there's more powerful things out there. Like, there's more powerful commanders out there. Again, like, literally, like, is this more powerful than an Urza? No. No, it's not at all. So, like, what's the argument? Sure, the mana provided by is massive. So's Urza's. So's Selvala. I'm confused, Wizards. Please explain to me why this is more powerful than other commanders out there. It's a very powerful commander, sure. Awesome. It gives you a lot of mana. Sure, there's some cool things you can do with that. Awesome. Obviously. Absolutely. But, like, what? No, I disagree. This one doesn't make sense. Like a lot of other ones, like, okay, we're not going to ban it yet. This is, like, unlikely to return at this time. Maybe, again, it's just they're trying to be short with it and just like, yeah, at some point we'll unban it, but, like, not right now. Yeah, we'll see. I think this one should be unbanned, personally. Okay, here we go. Sundering Titan, a 7/10 golem for 8 mana that is still banned. Enters or leaves the battlefield, choose a land of each basic land type, then destroy those lands. Okay, here's my argument for this one being unbanned. You're not allowed to, I believe, again, it's tiers 3 or lower, have any, essentially, mass land destruction, basically, resource denial, mass resource denial, repeat resource denial, whatever it is. That's what this is. So if this was unbanned, it wouldn't even see play in 3 because it can't see play in 3. It would see play in 4 or above. That's kind of like the weird distinction right now with, like, Wizards' system, which is a good start, obviously, and there's no perfect solution to this at all, obviously, but, like, some cards that are game changers technically really can't be played at a 3. Even though it's a game changer, you can play the 3 game changers at 3. Yeah, if it's like mass resource denial, no, you can't play that on 3 because that's like mass resource denial. Same thing with like generating multiplex returns kind of thing. This is mass resource denial on a creature, on a body that can easily be used and abused with ETBs, LTBs, that kind of stuff. Sure. Is this a card that's probably fine at the highest power levels in Magic? Yes. Is it fine in casual? Absolutely not. But it wouldn't be able to see play in casual because of the rules that are already instituted. So I find that to be weird that, again, this one's like, okay. Like, again, like, this card is miserable at low power tables. If it's on the Game Changers list, it literally can't be. And again, with the tier bracket system that you are proposing and that you have out there, you can't play this at 1, 2, or 3 because it is literally just mass land destruction on repeat, essentially, right? As it blows up tons of your opponent's lands and tends to get blinked, reanimated, or otherwise triggered again time and time again. It's a fairly unfun experience. I don't disagree with that. It's possible that as brackets continue to increase in adoption, there you go, maybe this would be acceptable Game Changer. Yes. Though even then, upgraded decks don't want mass land denial around. So again, like literally, that's just like what I'm saying is that they need to create kind of like a distinction where it's like it's a Game Changer, but also it's like tier 4 or above technically because it is also mass land denial. So it's just like inherently like this card is banned. Armageddon is not. Armageddon literally can only be played in tier 4 or above. This can't be played at all. This should be able to be played tier 4 or above. Like, that's just kind of what the argument should be, essentially. Like, this is no worse than Armageddon, basically. You're not going to play it in casual. So, again, saying, like, miserable but low power tables, that doesn't matter. Again, if you have this, like, tier bracket system where you're like, okay, Game Changers, this, that, you have all these reasonings, all these explanations for, again, things being banned or unbanned, and you're utilizing the bracket system, you should be able to say, well, within the bracket system, this makes it so it's only a 4. You have to be at a 4 or above to utilize it. So, and that's fine there. I'd say this one is possible, but an uphill battle. I mean, again, like, the thing is there's no one arguing for it. There's no one who are like, I really want to play this. I have to play it. Oh my goodness, bring it back. No one's saying that, so, like, it might not get unbanned, but again, like, consistency-wise, like, I think it makes more sense for this one to get unbanned because, yeah, it would only be at 4 or above. So saying it's miserable at low power tables doesn't make any sense as any kind of an argument to keep it banned, okay? And we're kind of living on repeat right now because exact same argument for Sylvan Primordial. Like, literally the exact same argument. 6/8 Avatar, the reach for 7 mana in green. Enters the battlefield for each opponent. Destroy target non-creature permanent that player controls. For each permanent destroyed this way, search your library for a forest card from the battlefield tapped, then shuffle your library. Okay, here's the thing again. Yes, I mean, what you're going to be doing with this is get it out, blink things, and destroy, basically, yeah, sure, non-creature permanents, but also you can just destroy your opponent's lands. And then you get lands. So, like, you're not only resource denial, but also ramping yourself, which is huge. Again, this is literally one that would be the exact same thing as the one we just talked about, where it is tier 4 or above. It cannot be played 3 or below, because it is mass land denial. It is mass resource denial on repeat. You can't play it at 3 even. Okay? So even if it's a Game Changer, it can't be played at 3. Is it worse than Armageddon? No. So, again, yes, it should be unbanned in my opinion. Speaking of blinking and land destruction, Sylvan Primordial puts you ahead while setting everyone else back. It's a prime candidate clone, blink, and flicker. Absolutely. It is not the most fun card. I mean, no, obviously. Especially at more casual tables. Again, that doesn't matter. Again, if you're saying, like, Game Changers, this kind of stuff, this, that, if you're saying Game Changer, mass land destruction, yeah, it's not fun at casual tables. It's not going to see play at casual tables if you, again, utilize the bracket system that you were having. But again, like, maybe that's, again, see, like, this one I could see unban in the future as we adapt and evolve brackets. That's the main thing I think that they're waiting for, that they're saying without really saying is, like, hey, if people are using the brackets, then we can utilize them as an excuse to unban certain things. Basically, like, again, if you're following the brackets, you can't utilize some Primordial unless you are tier 4 or above, where it's completely fine. But yeah, anything below that, not so much. We decided not to touch it for now. Again, I understand it, and I understand that they're going to kind of slow play this, which is fair and fine. I think that, yeah, as the brackets kind of move forward, as they move forward with all of this, they are going to eventually unban, again, this and any of the other kind of, like, reasonable, not limited resources, like mass land denial things, essentially, where it's fine at 4 or above, but you're not going to see it at 3 or below. Okay, next up, we've got Tinker, a sorcerer for 3 mana in blue. Sacrifice an artifact, search life for an artifact card, put on the battlefield, then shuffle your library. Go get your Blightsteel Colossus. Yay! Everyone has fun. Maybe not. Anyways, being able to turn any mana rock into a large game-ending artifact early is wildly powerful, which is why this caught an appropriate ban in many formats, Commander being one of them. Yeah, they're not really, like, talking about, like, how if this could ever be unbanned. Again, like, for the highest power levels, I mean, You tell me out there against CH players, would this be fine? It would still be a game-ending card in those, obviously, but yeah, like, not for casual. You don't want, like, okay, yeah, cool, all right, turn 1, Soul Ring. Turn 2, Tinker. Sacrifice Soul Ring. Blightsteel Colossus, turn 2. Game over, basically. Like, yeah, that's kind of just, like, the play pattern that they wouldn't want, obviously, so not surprised to see this one not unbanned, but, yeah, I'd probably be pretty surprised, I guess, in the future if they ever unban this one, because it would be a very popular card to play. And, yeah, lower power level would not like it, but it would never be lower power level against the Game Changers, so, like, would be appropriate for 3 ever? I don't think so, so unless they change things, they're probably never going to ban it. Up next on the list, Tolarian Academy. Gaia's Cradle fans out there, yeah, this one's not getting unbanned anytime soon. Legendary land, tap for a blue to your mana pool for each artifact you control. Again, Sarah's Sanctum. For enchantments, that one is currently unbanned. I think it's a Game Changer too. Didn't they put that in the Game Changers? I think they did. Gaia's Cradle, for creatures in green. Yeah, very much a Game Changer. Very, very expensive. Tolarian Academy, not unbanned. And I'm pretty sure Mono Black and Mono Red don't have one of these. Let me know in the comments below. But I'm pretty sure they don't, actually. Anyways, yeah, not surprised that this one wasn't unbanned because, yeah, I mean, Gaia's Cradle, you could definitely argue for that one being banned. Not Sarah Sanctum, really, probably. But Tolarian Academy, it's incredibly easy to get an absurd amount of artifacts out very, very early, very, very quickly. And especially these days, again, where you have just like, I'm making treasures, I'm making clues, I make this, I make that. You could tap this thing for like 20 plus mana quite easily. And again, early on, you could tap this thing like for 5 mana on like turn 1 very easily too. So here we go. Artifacts are everywhere in Commander, more than ever. Now with the proliferation of clue, food, and treasure tokens, there you go. This mana producer would be up to the same kind of fast mana nonsense alongside artifact ramp it has always been. Unlikely to be unbanned. Yeah, I think that this one's probably going to stay banned. I think like even at the highest power levels, it's pretty ridiculous. Again, but there's that argument of like, well, then shouldn't Gaia's Cradle be banned? I don't think they're ever going to do that because the amount of money people invested into that, and I don't think that should be a reason to ever ban or unban something, but that's a different discussion for a different day. Now, on to the next one, and this is actually surprising to me, not that it wasn't unbanned, that it's actually on the list where they're discussing it. This should be one of those cards that's like Falling Star, like up there, where it's like, yeah, there doesn't need to be a discussion, like at all. Like, this is just a card that doesn't make sense in a 4-player format. It wasn't designed for that. So, yeah. Why do we discuss it? Anyways, let's discuss quickly. Sorcery for 3 mana in blue. Target opponent draws 2 cards. Then you draw up to 4 cards. That opponent may repeat this process as many times as they choose. Okay, cool. I mean, yeah, it is basically, hey, you and opponent make a deal, and you're like, let's just draw as many cards as we want to. Yay! For 3 mana. Yay! We just drew half our deck. Yay! I mean, I drew twice as much as you did, but still, yay! Yeah, because in just like a normal game, right? Like this would be normal, like, you know, like when it was designed for like a one-on-one. It's like, okay, you draw 2, I draw 4. If you want to repeat it, you can. This one's again like in Commander. It's like, okay, I find one opponent who's willing to make the deal with me, which most likely you will find one because if they don't make the deal, someone else might. And then they get the advantages, and then you each draw again like half your libraries. And you're like, ha ha ha, I spent 3 minutes to draw off my library. Yeah, this is a card that is not meant for multiplayer. It will never get unbanned. This is an unusual one. It's a collusion card, meaning 2 players can collude to each draw tons of cards. Yes. It's not the most fun to resolve or play against. Yes. And the games where it can be cast are rather silly. That's a word for it. When they don't say like annoying, like versus like they were like, Paradox Engine's annoying. This is silly. No, it's annoying. While there is a bit of politics in that you might opt into making it work, in general, it's not the kind of gameplay to be promoted. It is unlikely to be unbanned. They better never unban this one. They better never unban this one because this would see a ton of play. This would be one of those cards that'd be like hard to argue against not putting in a deck again because it's just the potential to be like, oh yeah, hey, we're both behind, right? Okay, that other player over there is way ahead. I'll spend 3 mana for this spell and we will draw half our libraries. That seems fair. No. Yeah, this card never should be unbanned. I don't know why they would even consider it. It seems pretty ridiculous that it even needs to be discussed right here, but apparently it needs to be discussed. So yeah, never unban at Wizards, please. Now on to the next one though, Upheaval. Yeah, this one again, kind of with Silver Primordial, Sundering Titan, exact same thing to me. Where this is literally just like, hey, other cards out there basically do this exact same thing essentially in some ways. And they're not banned, but this is banned, even though technically, if it was unbanned, it'd be tier 4 or above, and it would be legal in those. It'd be fine in those. But yeah, It's kind of one of those weird ones again. Source for 6 mana in total in blue. Return all permanents to the owner's hands. Yeah, just literally bounce everything. Very famous in the old Psychotog decks, basically, back in the day, where it's like, okay, yeah, and then you just win because you have a Psychotog that you cast. You float the mana, you cast Psychotog, and then you just discard your things. It's got an absurd amount of power, and you win. Anyways, this board sweeper resets the entire game back to square one for only 6 mana. You just unbanned Sway the Stars, but it costs slightly more. Okay. Which should be a problem enough, and when you factor in all that mana you floated are about to recast mana rocks, its chances only get worse, unlikely to be unbanned. I disagree, because again, if you are saying that the bracket system is something that is evolving, that is something that, again, if you are taking into account the bans and the unbans, which you have to be, when it comes to the, decisions on making those decisions, then if the bracket system is to be believed, then Upheaval is automatically, again, tier 4 or greater. Automatically. And if you're playing tier 4 or greater, you gotta be okay with the entire board just getting wiped out. So, yeah, I don't know. I think this one should be unbanned because, again, with Primordial, with Sundering Titan, it's the exact same thing. It's fine in that or above. It is not fine below that. So in casual, yeah, it's not fine. It's not fine at all. But in non-casual, it's fine. Moving on, here's a big one though. Yawgmoth's Bargain. Enchantment for 6 mana in black. Skip your draw step, pay 1 life, draw a card. Yeah, absurd amounts of card draw. I mean, basically Grizzlebrand, but as an enchantment, and very specific amounts of life can be given, and yeah, you lose your draw step, but who cares? Crazy powerful card, but maybe someday, we'll see. Necropotence is very strong and now a game changer. Again, I don't know how that was missed as a game changer in the first place. I have no idea how they're like, Necropotence doesn't deserve it. What? Bargain, while more expensive. Oh, that's not Bargain. What in the world? Okay, well. Just this. I was like, is there a card called Bargain? Bargain, while more expensive, gives the cards immediately, lets you combo off. It's not impossible. It's outside the scope of being a game changer since Necropotence is not dissimilar, but I would not plan on this returning. I mean, yeah, that's kind of the thing. Like, where we already... It's very powerful. Yes, 100%. Can't be your commander, and it's not as easily cheat-outable as, say, Grizzlebrand, which is a creature, again, reanimation, etc. So, yes, again, if Necropotence is fine as a game changer, and if there are things out there like, ad nauseum, there's other ways to draw an absurd amount of cards very quickly. I don't know if they want to add another to the table, but again, if you're saying, like, Necropotence is fine, then this probably should be fine. So maybe I'm changing my tone on this one. I think, this one I'm kind of on the fence with, like, I don't know why. But yeah, maybe unban it? Yeah. And with that, this episode is coming to a close, so it's my turn to hear from you. In the comments below, let me know your thoughts are on this episode. And of course, as always, thanks again, and have a good one. This show and episodes like this one are possible thanks to viewers like you. If you're looking for an easy way to help support this show, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. Also, hit that bell notification icon so you don't miss any new episodes. You can also go check out our playmats and other merchandise at thecommandersquarters.com. Another easy way to support this show is with our TCG Player affiliate links. So whether you're buying a deck or individual cards, you can use this general link right here or one in the description. And the final way that you can support this show is by supporting us directly by becoming a patron. There are many benefits to being a patron, and I truly couldn't do this without all of their support.